Aldi is recalling Baker's Corner's all-purpose flour, which was sold at stores in 11 states, including New York, because of possible E. coli contamination.
Aldi has faced several major food recalls over the years, raising concerns about product safety. Imagine biting into a sandwich and finding pieces of plastic or discovering bones in your sausage. These incidents have shaken the trust of many loyal Aldi customers.
If your supermarket loyalties are rusted on, it might be time to make the switch. A new report has found just one chain is 25% cheaper than the rest.
How would you react if your favorite grocery brand sold food with such dangerous surprises? Let's explore the biggest food recalls in Aldi's history that will make you think twice before going there again. Aldi's rise from one small shop. Aldi, a major discount supermarket brand, began with a simple family business in Germany. The story started when Karl and Theo Albrecht took over their mother's small store in Essen back in 1946. Their mother had launched this shop in a suburb of Essen in 1913, a time when their father was working first as a miner and then helping out in a bakery. Born in 1920 and 1922 respectively, Karl and Theo grew up around this family store. Theo learned the ropes directly in the shop, while Karl gained experience in a nearby delicatessen. Before officially taking over their mother's business, Karl managed another food store and even served in the German army during the Second World War. But little did anyone know, the humble beginnings of Aldi would one day lead to a shocking family rift that changed everything. Stay tuned as we reveal the dramatic twist that tore them apart. By the early 1950s, the brothers expanded their small store into 13 shops in their local area, the Ruhr Valley. They had a unique way of doing things. They gave a 3% discount on items right at the purchase instead of making customers save up rebate stamps. They also kept their shops small, didn't sell fresh produce, avoided advertising, and removed items that weren't selling quickly. By 1960, they were running 300 stores across Germany. But in 1960, a disagreement over whether to sell cigarettes led to the brothers splitting the business. Karl was worried that selling cigarettes would bring in shoplifters, but Theo disagreed. So they divided the company into Aldi Nord, which Theo managed, and Aldi Süd, run by Karl. They formally introduced the Aldi name.
Its German company Aldi. For a basket filled with 14 common items, it was up to $17 cheaper at Aldi,
which stands for Albrecht Discount, in 1962. Although they operated separately, Aldi Nord and Aldi Süd would occasionally work together on some projects. Aldi Nord and Aldi Süd each manage different parts of the world. Aldi Nord operates in countries like Belgium, France, and the Netherlands and runs the Trader Joe's brand in the United States. Aldi Süd is in places like Australia, the United States, and various European nations, with its stores called Hofer in Austria and Slovenia. The Aldi shopping experience is all about simplicity and keeping costs low. They sell everyday items like groceries, drinks, and household goods at discounted prices. Most of what they sell is under Aldi's own brand names, created to offer cheaper alternatives to well-known brands. This approach has made Aldi a popular spot for affordable shopping. They also have weekly specials on more expensive items like electronics and clothes, which helps draw a wide range of customers. Aldi is known in Germany as the biggest seller of wine and has even introduced innovative store concepts like cashierless outlets in the UK. Over the years, Aldi has kept growing by sticking to a simple formula. Offer basic goods at low prices. This method has worked well, allowing them to expand all over the globe while still holding on to the straightforward, cost-saving strategies that the Albrecht brothers started with. Aldi's story shows how a modest family business can become a giant in the retail industry by consistently meeting customers' needs for simplicity and affordability. In January of 2024, a company known as Fratelli Beretta USA Inc., based in the United States, had to pull back several of its meat products, especially the ones containing a type of meat called coppa. This was because they found out these products were contaminated with Salmonella. The contamination happened because the meat wasn't fully processed.
Premiums are rising at their fastest rate in more than 2 decades. But now budget supermarket Aldi has entered the fray, promising to shake up the market just as much as it did in the grocery aisles.
As pointed out by the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Salmonella is a pretty common bacterial illness that affects the gut. This bacteria usually lives in the intestines of both humans and animals and can spread through their waste. People generally catch this illness by consuming food or water that's contaminated. Not everyone who gets salmonella feels sick, but those who do might start feeling unwell with symptoms like diarrhea, fever, and stomach cramps anywhere from 8 to 72 hours after they've been exposed. Though many people with healthy immune systems get better on their own within a week without needing special treatment, the illness can get severe. It can cause dehydration if diarrhea is intense, and in worse cases, it can spread beyond the intestines and become life-threatening. Countries that struggle with clean sanitation and safe drinking water tend to see more cases of salmonella. The infection usually comes from eating raw or not fully cooked meat, poultry, eggs, or from drinking milk that hasn't been pasteurized. The time it takes for symptoms to show can vary a lot. It could be as quick as 6 hours or take up to 6 days. Often, people with salmonella infection mistake it for a stomach flu because the symptoms are so similar. The symptoms can vary quite a bit too. Most commonly, people experience diarrhea, fever, and stomach cramps. Some might also feel nauseous and vomit. It's not unusual for them to have chills and headaches, and sometimes they might even find blood in their stool. Usually, these symptoms last a few days to a week, but the diarrhea could stick around for up to 10 days. It can take even longer, sometimes months, for their bowel habits to go back to normal. Some types of salmonella bacteria can cause a more serious illness called typhoid fever, which is a big problem in less developed countries.
Products are from the same manufacturer of the recalled Hy-Vee products we told you about last week. The concern with the products is the potential for contamination with salmonella.
Although most people recover from salmonella without needing to see a doctor, since the illness tends to clear up by itself after a few days, certain people like infants, young children, the elderly, and those with weaker immune systems might need medical attention. If the illness doesn't get better after a few days, or if it's accompanied by a high fever, bloody stools, or signs of dehydration, like less frequent urination, dark urine, or a very dry mouth, it's important to seek medical help. Aldi, which sells these meats under the brand name Appleton Farms Gourmet Deli Selection, had to recall these products from its shelves in 39 states. If you bought Kappa from Aldi early in the year, it might still be in your fridge because this product can last a long time. The company is advising anyone who still has these products to either throw them away or bring them back to the store for a refund. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the outbreak affected 104 people across 33 states, leading to 27 hospitalizations. Fortunately, there were no deaths reported. As one problem ended, a new one came up with another big meat supplier, bringing even more worries. Dangerous pork pulled from shelves. Let's go back to May of 2023 for another incident. This time it involved a company called Eastern Meat Solutions Incorporated, which supplies meat to both Aldi and Walmart. They had to recall a huge amount of pork, 40,763 pounds to be exact, because this batch of pork skipped a necessary safety step. It missed inspection by the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service, FSIS, which is a crucial process that ensures the meat is safe to eat. This recall affected products like Park Street Deli, Sweet Chipotle, boneless pork ribs with sauce, and Park Street Deli Hawaiian style. Boneless pork ribs with sauce, all of which came from Ontario, Canada. The problem was these pork items entered the United States without going through the rigorous inspections required by FSIS, which meant there was no guarantee the meat was safe to eat. While there were no reports of anyone getting sick from this pork, customers were still advised to either return the products to the store or dispose of them safely. FSIS stands for Food Safety and Inspection Service, and its main job is to protect public health by preventing illnesses that can come from meat, poultry, and egg products. They make sure these food items are safe, healthy, and correctly labeled. The FSIS works under the authority granted by laws like the Federal Meat Inspection Act, the Poultry Products Inspection Act, and the Egg Products Inspection Act. They also ensure animals are handled humanely under the Humane Methods of Slaughter Act. Each staff member at FSIS is committed to keeping the public safe, and they live by values that emphasize accountability, collaboration, being solution-focused, and empowerment. These values help them do their jobs better and ensure they work together effectively to protect everyone.
Salmonella is ubiquitous in poultry. It's actually part of a lot of other raw agricultural commodities as well. So you have a risk of becoming sick with salmonella, whether you eat an undercooked chicken product or whether you eat raw lettuce, for example.
Moving to June of 2020, the CDC began to notice a rise in cases of salmonella that were linked to red onions. They warned everyone to avoid onions that came from a company called Thomson International Incorporated. Thomson International Inc. is known for helping North American companies sell their products around the world. Established nearly 20 years ago, Thomson International has built a solid reputation by partnering with high-quality manufacturers like Real Craft Industries, Hansen Corporation, Eucania International, Badger Meter, and NRP Jones. They essentially extend the reach of these factories, giving companies that are new to exporting a chance to grow their international sales and reputation without the cost of setting up their own export departments. Focused solely on international markets, they've spent nearly 2 decades getting to know and serve these markets well. Their commitment to customer service and their expertise are second to none. Sadly, by October of 2020, the outbreak had spread to nearly every state in the U.S., except for Louisiana and Vermont. A total of 1,127 people were infected with this particular strain of salmonella, and 167 were hospitalized. Fortunately, no deaths were linked to this outbreak. In response, Aldi pulled all red, white, yellow, and sweet onions from the affected brand, Onions 52, from its stores across 14 states. Other major retailers like Walmart, Kroger, and Food Lion also issued recalls for similar reasons. After the meat issues, even frozen veggies faced trouble, showing no product was safe. Listeria scare shakes Aldi. All right, let's talk about this recall situation with sweet peas that happened a while ago. Back in April 2017, Aldi found itself in a bit of a situation and had to pull more than 2,000 packages of their Season's Choice frozen sweet peas off the shelves. This happened across 7 different states. They didn't waste any time doing this because they wanted to make sure nobody got sick. The whole concern was about something called listeriosis, which is a pretty serious infection caused by nasty Listeria bacteria. So what's listeriosis? Well, it's an illness you can get from eating food that's contaminated with a specific kind of bacteria called L. monocytogenes. This is no small deal. It can be really harmful, especially if you're pregnant or if your immune system isn't up to par. The usual symptoms are things like fever, chills, and a bad headache. If it goes untreated, it can turn into much bigger health issues. Foods that can carry this bacteria include stuff like hot dogs, deli meats, and even some fresh fruits and veggies if they're not washed or cooked properly. Now, preventing listeriosis is all about being careful with how you handle and prepare your food. You should wash your fruits and veggies thoroughly, make sure your meats are cooked well, and stay away from any dairy that hasn't been pasteurized. Doing all this can really cut down on your chances of getting sick. If you do end up catching listeriosis, it's typically treated with antibiotics. It's super important to catch it early and get treated to avoid more serious complications, especially for those who are more vulnerable.
Also in this space, we're going to see a review of the voluntary code of conduct for the grocery sector. That's going to be handed down.
Unlike a lot of other bacteria that cause foodborne illnesses, Listeria is tricky because it can actually grow even in cold environments like your fridge or freezer. So even there, it can get to levels that are unsafe. Usually when food spoils, you can tell by the smell, taste, or how it looks. But when food is contaminated with L. monocytogenes, it doesn't change its appearance or smell, making it really hard to tell if something's wrong. Thankfully, if you do get listeriosis, your doctor can treat it with antibiotics, which is really important for high-risk groups like newborns, older folks, or anyone with a weak immune system. They might also give you medicine to help with symptoms like nausea. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tells us that each year about 1,600 people in the U.S. get listeriosis. It's especially dangerous for pregnant women, little babies, old folks, and people whose immune systems aren't strong. While Listeria isn't as common as some other germs like Salmonella or E. coli, it's considered the most deadly. Out of those 1,600 people who get it each year, around 260, unfortunately, don't survive. But with this recall of the sweet peas, the good news was that there weren't any illnesses reported. Now let's switch gears and chat about another recall from June 2023, this time with pineapples. SunOpta Grains and Foods Inc., based out of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, had to recall over 32,400 pounds of organic pineapple chunks because they might have been contaminated with Listeria. The recall was first announced on May 19th of that year, and it was still going on. The affected pineapples were all over Oregon, and if you happened to buy some, you were advised to chuck them out immediately and definitely not eat them. Eating something with Listeria monocytogenes might not show any usual signs of spoilage, but can still lead to some pretty severe and sometimes even fatal infections.
I think it's exciting for Australian consumers because we've seen Aldi disrupt the grocery sector. They've grown to over 10% of market share, taking on Coles and Woolies.
If you ate any of the recalled pineapple and started feeling symptoms like vomiting, nausea, ongoing fever, muscle aches, really bad headaches, or stiffness in your neck, it's crucial to get medical help right away and tell your doctor about the possible exposure to Listeria. Keep an eye on your health for a few weeks after eating such products because it can take up to 70 days for symptoms of listeriosis to show up. Diagnosing Listeria needs special lab tests because its symptoms can look a lot like other illnesses. Pregnant women, older people, young children, and folks with compromised immune systems are especially at risk for serious, life-threatening infections and other complications. Even if infected pregnant women might only feel mild, flu-like symptoms at first, this infection can lead to serious outcomes like premature delivery, an infected newborn, or even stillbirth, which is heartbreakingly sad. More recalls followed, but one case with bad beef turned tragic, leaving a deep impact. E. coli in beef turns deadly. In July of 2018, at least 18 folks started feeling pretty sick after they ate ground beef that came from Cargill Meat Solutions. Fast forward to 2 months later, the USDA had some bad news to share. One person had actually died because of E. coli. Now let's talk about what Escherichia coli, or E. coli as it's commonly known, really is. It's a type of bacteria that usually hangs out harmlessly in the intestines of both people and animals. It's part of the normal stuff in your gut, and it even helps with breaking down the food you eat. But here's the kicker. Not all E. coli are the good guys. Some types of E. coli are bad news. They stick onto your intestinal walls, make toxins, and can make you really sick. When people talk about getting sick from E. coli, these are the types they mean. You get hit with things like watery diarrhea, belly pain, and other nasty symptoms that can mess up your day. Sometimes, even the usually harmless E. coli can cause big problems if they end up somewhere they shouldn't, like your urinary tract, leading to infections. While most E. coli infections are just a big discomfort, there are strains out there that can really put you in danger. The USDA said that the ground beef had a strain of E. coli that could make you go through a rough time with fever, diarrhea, vomiting, and it could even mess up your kidneys big time.
Sort of grocery Olympics, if you like, which encourages all the supermarkets to try and do a better job for consumers next time the survey hits the field.
People usually start feeling sick about 34 days after they come into contact with the bad beef. So by the time the health folks caught on, the contaminated beef had already gotten around the country. Metal showing up in food isn't as uncommon as you might think. In May of 2019, Aldi found itself pulling 2 types of chicken strips off the shelves. The Kirkwood Buffalo Crispy Chicken Strips and the Kirkwood Honey BBQ Crispy Chicken Strips. Tyson Foods, the company that supplied these, dropped the bomb that about 11,829,517 pounds of their frozen, ready-to-eat chicken could have metal pieces in them. The Food Safety and Inspection Service got a couple of complaints from people who bit into these unexpected crunchy bits. More complaints rolled in, with 3 people hurting their mouths because of this metal. This led to the chicken strips being labeled as a high health risk, and Aldi had to pull these products from 33 states. This wasn't a one-off for Tyson Foods. They ended up recalling their meat products 5 times in 2019 because of stuff like metal, rubber, and plastic finding their way into the meat. Is Aldi's reputation for quality at risk, Or are these recalls just rare mistakes? Tell us what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.